Wildman Rouse here. Now, I bet you think ducks are boring. Well, far from it. For the wildlife photographer, they are an absolutely incredible species because they are approachable. No matter where we are in the world, we can find really cool duck species. So I want to give you the benefit of my experience. I mean, look at this picture of a tufted duck. How beautiful is that? Look at the colors, look at the detail in it. So we can really take cool pictures of ducks if we follow a few simple rules. Now, this video is also more special because this is for the Wild Bunch. This is a Wild Bunch briefing for their March challenge, and I'm opening out to all of you good people on YouTube so that you can see what it's like to be a member of the Wild Bunch community. So I try to set my members really tough monthly challenges with help from me. So this is one of the helper videos that we're going to do. And in a future wild angle, I will show you the results of their endeavors because they're going to be out there beavering away, getting really cool pictures. And I hope that you will too. Now, as a special deal, I like deals because I'm a cockney, halfway through or maybe quarter way through or maybe 3/4 of the way through, who knows, but it's not at the end. There will be a special discount for you to get discounted Wild Bunch membership. That's right, but it's hidden, so you have to watch the whole video. Sneaky, eh? Anyway, let's get on. I've split all of my knowledge into a few different categories. So let's begin with composition. You know, as I said earlier on, you know, I see so many people just think the ducks are so easy, walk around, snap, 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 without taking the time to look at composition, lighting, story, and this kind of thing. So I'm going to give you the benefit of my experience of all of them, starting with now with composition. Composition kind of can make or break a duck picture. It really can. Look at this. Okay, beautiful hooded merganser, male hooded merganser, a wild hooded merganser, but there are several things wrong with this picture. The main one is the way that I framed it, because if you look at the center line, the eye is over the right-hand side of the center line, looking out of the picture. The action part of the picture is on the right-hand side, whereas the left-hand side is just kind of the back that's faded off. I just wish that sometimes ducks had their heads in the center of the body. It would make composition so much easier, right? But this is an awful picture, okay? Yeah, it's a rare bird, and it's nice light and it's nice habitat, but it's damn awful composition, okay? It really, really is. This beautiful mandarin is much, much better composition because it's got space to breathe around it. Yes, it's got better light, when we're going to talk about light a little bit later on, but it's got more space to breathe. And if you look at the center line, the eye is right there. It's looking into some space. I could crop it slightly more on the left-hand side, but I wanted to show you the space aspect here. It's also got a beautiful reflection as well, which we are, again, going to talk about later. So composition is all important. Now, there's another mandarin. I've got a love of mandarins. The thing that makes this composition work with the mandarin is, one, the low angle. We're going to talk about low angle in a minute. But two, it's the position of the mandarin and that beautiful head where it's looking back across the frame. So I put it on this side, on the right-hand side of the frame, looking back across into the dead space. All too often, we crowd our pictures. We zoom right in. We crowd them because we think that's what people want to see on social media. Forget social media, okay? You take pictures for you, not anybody else. If somebody likes the picture you take, brilliant. But don't adjust your photography just to please somebody you've never met in your whole life to get a thumbs up and a like. Please don't do that. I don't do it. I don't know many people that do, but if you do it out there, just stop it. Do your photography for you and you alone, because it's your break from the pressures of the wild world around us. So this mandarin, anyway, it's coming towards me. I've got it looking into the dead space. It works. Getting this dead space works. Here's a garganay. I couldn't believe when Rich and I went to photograph the garganay. Rich told me exactly where it was. Thanks, Rich, mate. Really brilliant. But as it was coming towards me, I deliberately offset the composition again to look across into dead space. It makes the duck look a lot more appealing when you're looking at it, okay? The low angle here with the reflection on the lighting, that all adds to it. But it's that looking into dead space that is a bit more charming. It's a bit more engaging, and ducks are very cute. They're really cool. So having this like looking into the dead space really, really helps. Now, of course, might have a duck going across that refuses to look backwards. Okay, that's okay. Just give it space ahead of it to travel into. So you're kind of leaving space for the duck to go into. And what you're doing, you're giving your eye and the viewer's eye space to breathe and to go into the focus. Now, this is a Carolina wood duck, which is absolutely one of the most beautiful ducks in the world. Look at that kind of rainbow sheen on the side. Anyone that says ducks are boring, oh, I can't believe it. Even the humble mallard, you're going to see in a minute, the female mallard you think is brown and boring. They're beautiful. We just don't photograph them in the right way. So hopefully you see here some techniques to do it. So yeah, coming across the frame, looking across, be careful where you put the head, give enough space in front of the duck for it to travel into. Traveling away from you, well, normally we wouldn't do it. Well, here though, look at the reflection. It's the reflection and the beautiful autumn colours on the pond that really, really make it. This was a wild bird taken at WWT Slimbridge. And if you look at my Slimbridge video, you'll see exactly where this was done. But traveling away is all right, because I've got the focus on the head. The head is twisted to look back. So I'm waiting for that moment. I've got my eye focus on, so it's going to pick out the eye. You can see I'm looking downwards. Again, we're going to talk about angle in a minute. Looking downwards is okay when you've got these beautiful reflections because that's the whole picture. And you notice I've shot it wide because there are just really cool reflections everywhere. But sometimes we want to shoot low and get flat, and you'll see the reasons for that a little bit later. So lots of space here on the composition to let the picture breathe, because this picture is the kind of picture you would put on your wall, because it's not just about the subject, it's about the habitat as well. The subject and the habitat working together in an ecosystem to really look beautiful. And this picture tells more about the individual species than a close-up ever would. And I love it just because it uses this wide angle. Now, a lot of ducks and stuff like to have a snooze, and it makes a really, really cute picture to take, a very engaging picture to take, okay, because it's very peaceful. They're not doing much. They make really great videos as well when they're spinning around, although it plays havoc with the autofocus. So here, I've got the hooded merganser, the drake, the male, with his head. They often tuck their head into the feathers, which can be really fantastic. I'm going to show you a tufted duck in a minute. In fact, you saw one right at the beginning, right? That tufted duck with their head tucked into the feathers. Well, I just think they look really great when they do it. The problem is that, again, the composition. So what I've done here is taken the frame in the center and tried to have half and half on the other side, because you've got the eye, which is the action end, kind of on one side. And I don't want to offset it because the eye is looking out of the frame that way. So if I give it more space, it will look quite weird. So I put the eye on the left-hand side, so it's looking across, even though it's a half sleepy eye, it's looking across into the rest of the picture, okay, which happens to just be the body of the duck and some stuff as well. And I think you agree the composition works very well. Reflection, very important here, okay? Reflection, extremely important to have, and it adds to the piece. Here's another one. You can tell I love tufted ducks because there's a lot in here. They're absolutely gorgeous. Here's another one, and the picture here is very peaceful. You know, you've got the tufted there, you can just see the beautiful sheen of the purple, which is just so gorgeous on them. But look at the colour on the water. So it's a very peaceful picture. You know, I photographed it at the end of the day with beautiful reflections. It's a very peaceful picture because of this lovely way that the ducks are just floating around on the pond, you know, all happy and all relaxed. And it's a very relaxing, chilled picture because I gave it space. So once again, give it plenty of space. Talking of reflections, if you find reflections when you're photographing, this is a beautiful pintail male, always use them because it's a lot better than just a duck. It gives your a duck picture something extra with the reflection. And I used to be the greatest idiot at forgetting to get reflections in a picture. And these days I don't do that because I used to write a label on the back of my camera that had several rude words that reminded me to actually think about the reflection first and foremost. So always think reflections. Now, ducks have got beautiful colours. This is a drake mallard. You go right in close, you get some nice close pictures, and you think that's the problem, that people think they're so easy. You know, you sit on a lake, people are chucking out bread everywhere, ducks are coming in, oh, it's so easy. But when they're coming in at a close angle, you're photographing downwards, which is a rubbish for generally if it's a wider picture. So here I zoom right in and get the nice picture. You can see very low light in the eye of the duck. I use a reasonable depth of field here. This is f8. I'm looking at my numbers here on the side. This is f8 for this picture. And the composition, again, the head is leading away across the frame, pointing into the corner. And that works really, really well. But I've got the eye offset again to the left-hand side, so it's looking into the dead space along the bill. You don't have to do this when you shoot, okay? Yes, you have to get it sharp. You have to get it nicely exposed, etc., and try and keep the background out of it as much as you can. But you don't have to compose like this until you're in the sanctity and quiet of wherever you do your processing. You know, if you want to do it in your leather disco suit, that's fine by me. I don't mind that at all. I personally have grown out of my leather disco suit with age, and I wear a different kind of suit altogether. But look, wherever you want to do your processing, it's always really good, you know, that if you leave a bit of room for your cropping and stuff, because often in the heat of the moment when you're doing your shooting, you don't kind of think straight. I prefer to like leave it a bit wider and then crop when I'm in the sanctity of my disco suit. Right, there's another. You saw that tufted first thing. Look at the lovely purples and the colours on it. It's absolutely amazing. Tucked into the wing. I've zoomed right in. You've got no need to show the feet, no need to show anything else. This was an horrible cloudy day. It was really grim cloudy day, actually. So all I did, white cloud, so all the water was quite white behind. All I did was overexpose it to bring out the detail, to create a high key image. There's a little bit of ripple still in the background. I can't really get rid of all that. But that's okay as it is. I just like the composition of this because it's really, really beautiful and simple. So don't be afraid to be aggressive. Go in with your compositions quite tight. What I would do, rather than using your big megapixels to crop in, I would actually try and take a picture like this when you are shooting, because it's really, really great to do that. Okay, so when you're shooting, get an image like this. Brilliant. Now, very quickly, some pictures are also made by what's happening away in the background. Here, look at those lovely ripples at the top. So again, Drake Merganza, really nice colours, lovely reflections coming across. So whilst I want to crop in when it's going, because it's moving across like the clappers, whilst I want to crop in, I didn't crop in, I left it because of those lovely funky reflections at the top. And I've got that by shooting at a slower shutter speed. Here I'm down at a 60th of a second. It's going across like the clappers. It gives enough to blur a little bit of the water, okay? Here we have a beautiful Drake Smew. And again, you can see the watercolors have a lovely offset with the Smew color as well. It just works so well, doesn't it? The whole thing. It's a bit of a full frame picture. It's a bit of a shooting down picture. ISO 800 here, aperture 11, shutter speed an 800th and plus a third to bring out the detail in the whites. This was taken quite a few years ago, actually. But you can see that it's the colour and the combination of colour that brings it out. Did you hear my stomach rumble then? If you did, I'm really sorry. Oh, Rouse's professional videos strike again. A little kink, a little nod, a little bit of personality. It really helps everyone's photography. If you're a portrait photographer, that's what you look for, capturing personality. Well, we're wildlife portrait photographers. That's what we do. We capture personality. So a little twink of the head like that. Oh, you look really cute, Lars. It really engages the picture. So try to inject some personality. If the duck's looking up at the sky, get it, because it looks really, really good. Just like this. Yes, obsession with the tufted duck. Again. Oh, God. Here we have, anyway, coming straight at the camera, you can see, again, it's got a funky reflection on the bottom. I love the funky reflection on the bottom there. Do you like that funky reflection? Well, you can get that if you've got a windy day, got a nice, some nice light. You might get some funky water with some funky heads all over the place. It looks really, really good. And again, it makes your pictures look cool. So look for that. And last but not least, yeah, don't think that pictures of ducks are boring. You know, as I said earlier on, mallards, you know, the people are they're brown. This is a female mallard. Look how beautiful she is, okay? She's got beautiful feather colours and she's on a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful background. It's just amazing. I love this picture. ISO 800, aperture 10, shutter speed of 200th of a second on EM1X. Again, here, rather than getting low, I deliberately looked down because I wanted to show the reflections in the top of the picture. So the lesson here for composition, you know, shoot wider than you intend to, include the habitat, and always think about using dead space for the duck to swim into. It's really important. Try to get the tilt of the head looking into the dead space and try to capture a bit of personality. All right, that's composition done. Let's come back now and do some action. Okay, action. Well, obviously ducks fly, ducks take off, they land, they fly around. It's really good. Action is really about capturing them. And this is pretty obvious, really. You need a shutter speed of at least, okay, and I'm saying at least 1,000th of a second to stop them in flight if you can. Now, this is a really nice picture, but the problem is of a pintail, male pintail, which is great. But the problem is, again, the other wing is hidden. So I want you to be really, really, really picky and pedantic when you're taking your pictures of ducks. You can take them, but in the edit, only process the ones that have generally got wings up like this. Now, I've been really unlucky this year. I've been trying to do pintails where you can see the top side of the wings, because you can see the colours on there are amazing, especially a teal. But this year I've been capturing the underside, which has the feather structure like this. You can see the underside. Now, it can be really beautiful, but in a lot of ducks, the real colour is on the top, okay? So the undersides that I'm showing you here are really lovely and great, but I always try to look at the top side. So try to have a look at the top side if you can. All of these are taken in excess of 1,000th of a second. In fact, all of them are taken at ISO 800 to 1600. I don't worry about noise in pictures. They're obviously all low light. I don't worry about the noise because the noise can be removed by software at a later date. But what you can't do is get the sharp picture. So make sure you shoot high ISO, get a nice high shutter speed, because you want to get it sharp against the sky. There's no point doing artistic blurs against the sky. It won't work. It will look quite weird. You need to do that against a woodland or water kind of setting. So if you're photographing against the sky, keep the shutter speed nice and high, look for the wings out, and if you can, like this pochard, see if you can get the top sides as well. I mean, the problem is with the top sides, they have to bank around, okay? Normally you get this, but if they kind of come and they bank around you, then you get the top side of the bird, which is actually quite nice, and which is what I try to do. Flying across you, I often find that I need a faster shutter speed, believe it or not, than when I'm photographing upwards. So this one's a 4,000th of a second of a mallard drake coming across me. But again, you need to look in your pictures. There's a big argument about wings up or wings down. I prefer wings up because it's positive. I'm flying, I'm beating. So I much prefer my wings up, okay, when I've got a duck flying. It looks much better in the habitat, I think, totally. Taking off and landing, very difficult with ducks because landing's not so bad, but taking off, they just erupt out of the water. This mandarin just erupted out of the water. You can see all the water and the chaos around it, this female. It's taken a long time ago. This picture was taken in 2005. Can you believe that? 2005! In fact, I think it was one of my first columns for a magazine. Anyway, you can see the taking off there. You know, you've got to be ready for it. These days, you know, we've all got bird tracking, okay? And whenever I'm going out to do birds like this one, which I did the other week, this taking off, this mandarin, I'm ready for the takeoff. You can watch, you know, the ducks, they suddenly line up, they go still, they're watching. You know, but they're very alert, and you can tell when they're going to go. All I do is put them on one side of the frame so that they're going to take off into space. I've got buttons set on the OM1. I quickly go into tracking, ISO 1600, and I just wait. And I'm looking for that shot. I'm not taking portraits at that point. I'm waiting for the action shot. And if you want the takeoff, forget that, oh, I'll just take a few portraits. You will miss it. Okay, so you watch what's going on, you think, right, you learn. I think I know what the tail is. They'll all do a tail, a shake. Often they'll raise up and they'll do a shake. Birds will often do a poo before they take off. They'll stretch, okay, and they're getting ready for takeoff, you know, so get ready in your action mode and boom, keep your shutter speed high, as I said, and you get stuff like this. Landing, generally much easier because you can see them, they're tracking when they're coming in. Again, this is a 5,000th of a second. I would say you need a few thousandth of a second to be sure of getting the landing. You can use your eye control focus if you want, if it works. Often it might not work because of the light level, and if the duck is facing you, you can't see the eyes very well, so it might lock on. So you might just want to use your points and use your thumb to get the thumb wheel to get the points over the duck's head when it's coming in. You want to make sure you don't want to blast too early. Too many people, they blast too early when they're shooting. The buffer runs out and that's the end of that. You don't get any more pictures. So wait until they're in the last few seconds of landing, and for the splashdown, you can get some nice stuff. And after the splashdown, do not stop photographing because they'll often stretch as well as they want to slow down. They'll often stretch really, really nicely, just like the male pintail, and it makes a very, very nice picture. Now, another kind of action, they will stretch. Ducks will often stretch a lot when they're on the water. They'll stick their wings out and it looks really, really cool. They'll do it after they've been chucking water over themselves generally and cleaning themselves. They'll then have a nice stretch like this. You can see this beautiful merganser here having a lovely, lovely stretch. And that's what they're doing. It looks really, really cool because they stand right out of the water to do it. Here's a mandarin doing it from behind, and I don't mind shooting it from behind. I wish I'd have got the little coy, oh, hello, look, over the shoulder, which I didn't get there. But it's lovely the way that it's stretching, and you've got those lovely colours of the wings. I've slightly blurred it because it was it was a shutter speed of 800th. So it shows you the kind of speed you're going to have to get to make sure that you get it working. There's another female mandarin. A little bit boring in the frame, that one. You can see it's not as good as the other one. But the point is, be ready for the stretch and be ready for action. All right. The next thing we're going to cover is lighting. Now, before we get into lighting, here's the special offer for membership of Wild Bunch. We charge £75 a year. It's a very nice, safe space community where I give a lot of the benefit of my experience of hints and tips. We do monthly challenges with a really nice gallery. Everything is inside the website, so no one can see inside it. And every month I do a live clubcast where I pick a subject like you've seen here, and I'll talk about it. They see my recent pictures, and we share member images as well. So the next month we've got Anthony's going to show us some of his kingfishers. We just had Mal showing us some of his little owls. It's a lovely, safe community to work in, okay? And it's full of very, very like-minded people who just like going out and having a day out with the camera and shooting nice pictures. So if you want to join this, I'm going to give you a discount of £10. It's a good discount. There you go. £10, okay? And to do that, all you have to do is email me after you've joined. The email address is down below in the description. So after you've joined, you email me and say that you joined because of this video, and I will refund your PayPal account. That's the way it's going to work. All right. So that's a nice little discount for you. Please do come and join us. It's a growing community. It's a great way to learn, and it's a great way to share your pictures with everyone else. It's really, really cool. All right. Lighting. Lighting is really, really important with all of my photography, and it's certainly really important with duck photography. You'll notice that most of my pictures so far have been in beautiful light. That is by choice. Look at this mandarin. Look at the gorgeous early morning sun. Yes, you have to get up early. That's why I do it in the winter, because you don't have to get up as early. Beautiful early morning light. It makes the colors look better. It defines the feathers much better. And a bird like the mandarin, which is a bird of color, just in such intense color, it looks amazing. So light is great. Don't expect to go out in the middle of the day in summer and get great pictures of ducks. You will not. You need to apply the same principles as always, early and late, okay? As I said, too many people treat them as easy subjects. Oh, I don't put any effort in. You need to treat them exactly the same as you would tiger, polar bear, I'm pointing that direction, fox, whatever. I haven't got any animals sitting around, the various animals sitting there. You have to treat them exactly the same as you would for everything else. So go out early and late. I love raking light on them. Here I got this beautiful black light on this Drake mandarin. So the pool was in darkness. There were shafts of light on it. The mandarin flew into it. I darkened it off by minus 1.7 stops here on the EM1X to get a decent shutter speed, and also to darken the picture off. There was enough light in it. It gives beautiful atmosphere and a beautiful reflection. So late light is cool, but also what is cool is misty. This is what is cool. I sound like I'm doing a proper advert. Look, what is cool? Look, low angle mist looks really, really cool. Look at that. Look at that lovely tufty there. Shot really beautifully low angle through the mist. Mist is great because it gives good atmosphere. This mandarin, oh, it's amazing. The mist in the morning, and I shot it backlit, bashing my elbow there. I shot it backlit, it was great. And the mandarin just wouldn't turn to me. It was always faced away. So instead of making that an issue by shooting it tight, I shot a wide angle, gave it lovely, nice atmosphere in that picture. With the mist and everything else. And I made the mandarin small, so the fact that it's turned away doesn't matter because it's a small element of the picture. And then, of course, the mandarin didn't turn away when a lady turned up. So the female turned up and they were both together. Again, with the mist, it's a nice atmosphere. I couldn't get close. They're very, very wild ducks, very, very shy. I shot this on my 150-400 with a converter on, so you're up near 1,000 millimeters anyway, where they are. But that's okay. I love working with these really, really wild ducks. It's fun for me to be in the ghillie suit and all that kind of jazz. But you can see here, again, the atmosphere really works. And here's one I really love of the tufty. Look at the bokkie on the water. Don't be afraid to try this kind of stuff. Go out at sunset, do silhouettes. I haven't put any in here, okay? I've just kept it very simple. But if you're going out in the afternoon to do your ducks, wait until after. If there's good color on the water, good reds, blues, and hues, you can do some nice silhouettes, and it looks really good. Just remember, filming in low light, you're going to be filming in low shutter speed. So keep those ISOs up to keep the shutter speed nice and high. And as I always think, you always want to be at least a 500th of a second for anything static, if you can. If not, have a nice brace position. But anything you want action, you need thousands to do it, all right? So that's lighting, that's good. Let's now look at angle. All right, so angle makes all the difference, the angle that you're photographing at. So here we've got this beautiful Drake Merganser again, and it's absolutely gorgeous, right? A hoodie. But look at the angle. It's looking down on it. That's what most people do with their duck photography. You look down at an angle. Now, it works here because I wanted to have the habitat and the beautiful reflections in it. But the problem is it puts the water immediately behind the duck's head, and you can get a lot of things like feathers and bits and floaty bits, whatever, behind. So, and it also doesn't engage. It doesn't separate the duck from the subject. It leaves it in the subject. So here I've come a little bit lower. You can see I've come far lower. It's looking out now a bit more, okay? And you see that behind the duck's head, the background is further away. So it's isolating it a little bit more. So I'm a little bit lower there. Now here I'm completely flat. Okay, you're completely flat, and when you're flat, you don't get very good reflections. Okay, you get these kind of long reflections, but that's all right because you can always stand up and get the at 45. If you shoot at 45 degrees, you get the reflection above, reflection below, exactly the same. But this is lying flat. It puts the background a long way behind the duck. It can be annoying because if you're photographing at a lake, it could have a lake shore that's not very nice. The background of this was frozen ice, by the way. It's ice on the lake. But look at the really beautiful light, and it makes it stand out. It isolates it. It gives it a different kind of intimate feeling if you're shooting low. Here's another one. Now, I know a lot of people say, oh, I can't get low. I can't get down low. That's all right. If you've got a flip-up screen on your camera, you just put your camera down. And when I shot all the mandarins that you saw last month, I had my welly in the lake. I rested my camera on my welly with the flip-up screen, with the tracking on, and I just looked down into the screen and shot that way, so I didn't have to get down with my old dodgy back. Yeah, so nice and low angle there. You can see here again these lovely Mergansers, whatever they call them these days. Nice and low, very intimate. Background of the lake is a long way away here. Exactly the same here. The background is a long way away because I'm nice and low and flat. Okay, and that makes every single bit of difference. Okay, getting that low angle. Here you can see exactly the same thing. The background is nice and blurred because it was a long way away, and it really isolates it. You also get out of focus waves in the front. So again, you get this effect of isolation. If you were to slow this one down, this was a shutter speed of a 500 because it was bobbing a lot. But if I wanted to take a gamble, I could slow that down to a 60th. A lot of pictures will be blurred, but occasionally I get a really beautiful one with lots of blurred water and a beautiful sharp subject. So that's another thing to try. As I say, these are all the low angles just to show you how much low angle really can isolate. You see that lovely composition of it looking in there. Okay, finally, we're now going to talk about the story. Now, the story is all important, okay? We've talked about composition and everything else, but maybe you want to inject some humour into your pictures because ducks are quite fun things. I mean, they always make me smile. I mean, anything makes me smile. I'm a West Ham fan, so I have to always do that. Just remember, as a West Ham fan, anything makes you smile, especially the rare goals. This is a Falkland steamer duck, and it's slightly amusing because I'm in a darkened room, because it can't fly and it's trying to, and it's flapping along. So if you can get a duck in action doing something like this, it's quite funny with its big, it's got its big feet on the ground, you know, up and down. People like this kind of action. Here's another one of it running along. I'm taking a nice high shutter speed here of 1500th of a second that you can see. But, you know, injecting a little bit of action and maybe humor and story into your pictures is really, really great. I think these are goldeneye. I think they're some form of goldeneye. I can't remember. They're from Slimbridge anyway. But they were displaying to each other. They were trying to display to the female. So I thought, well, rather than get one in isolation, I'll try and get the two together and try and tell a bit more of a story. Okay, so very quick on the story. If you can get a frozen lake, for those of you that live in frozen lake areas where you have lots of frozen lakes, if you have a little bit on the end where there's some water, the ducks will come in, they'll come landing in, they'll skate on the ice, wings up, it'll look brilliant. I missed it at Slimbridge last month. In the UK next week, wild bunchers, please note, this will be good for you. It's meant to be cold, so we might have some frozen lakes and stuff, so you might get some skating and pictures on the ice. Beautiful reflection here, and I slowed the shutter speed right down. It was a aperture of 22, shut over a 15th of a second to blur those legs and make it look like it was slipping and sliding a bit. So have a look for that kind of story, especially if we've got cold conditions coming. And here's one I really love. This is great. This osprey came down and took a trout out of the pond in Scotland, and the female duck got so annoyed it chased it out of the pond, and in midair it was chasing it. Well, this picture was published in the newspaper. It made me a little bit of money, but more than that, it made people laugh, and that's what I like. And anything that makes people laugh at wildlife is really good because it engages people with wildlife, and that's all we want to do. So there's a little bit on telling a story. Anyway, there's my briefing and all of my knowledge about how to photograph ducks in the wild. I just love photographing ducks. I really do. It's a really big passion of mine. And I hope that you will now share that and you've seen that and you're inspired to go out and do the same. Wild Bunchers, this is your challenge, okay, for March and into April, because it's a great time of the year. There's lots of courtship going on. Everyone's looking at their best. You might get some cold weather in the UK next week, so it's really, really great. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you do. I really am. It's going to be a really big one. I think nice gallery we're going to do. I will show the results on a future wild angle on here. Those of you that don't want to be on it, that's absolutely fine. As you know, I've asked you all before. Everyone else out on YouTube, if you want to join our community, you would have heard the way to get a discount back in the video there. Please do come and join us. It's a really great thing. The links are all below in the description for the Wild Bunch. You can see where they are. Yeah, they're also on my Linktree site as well. Come and join us. Really safe community. You will absolutely love it. And get out there now and photograph ducks the way that they should be photographed. There's lots of places to do it. Local lakes, local ponds, wildfowl and wetland trust centres, anywhere. Any of the parks in London, the royal parks, they were full of tufted ducks when I was there, and all this, you know, I'm obsessed with tufted. All these other ducks, they were just full of everything. So there are plenty of places to go wherever you live in the world. Just love your ducks, get out there and photograph them and enjoy it. All right, as usual, I will just say enjoy yourselves, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye for now. Bye-bye.